Got Gators breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go again with another commitment episode. Not really a surprise too much, but it doesn't detract from another big get for the Florida Gators right here. Big time athlete, tight end, offensive tackle, Heze Kent from Brunswick, Georgia, committing to the Gators. We're going to get into it like we always do, of course, but yeah, this one's big. This one's big. Big get for the Gators in many ways. As much as Florida likes to use tight ends, a big get. And a big get just in general, massive size here. We'll get into it all. The measurables, what he brings to the table. We'll look at some film. We'll hear some analysis, but a big time get right here for the Florida Gators in many, many, many ways. Thanks for hopping in. Second day, we had one Friday night there with KJ Ford committing to the Gators. And of course, just a day later, we knew it. Heze Kent committing to the Gators. So, yeah. Lots to talk about on the recruiting trail once again for the Gators. And then after that, after we talk about Kent, we're going to take a look at the class again. Florida's class, who's in it, what we're looking forward to, all that good stuff. So, yeah, there we go. Bashay G hops in. Go Gators. Absolutely. Jason Sauls, yeah, man, I did like this as well. Because, yeah, if you guys know, I grew up in that area in South Georgia where Heze Kent's from, Brunswick, Georgia. I grew up about 45 minutes west of there. Jason Sauls says 912 to the swamp. Yep, southeast Georgia, down to Gainesville right here. I like seeing it. I like seeing it for sure. And then Damon Yates hops in 2 days in a row. Absolutely. The Gator boys stay hot. You heard Kent say it if you watched his commitment. He had to mention Gator boys stay hot. So absolutely, we're going to get in and use that as we can. And Colby McNally says, go Gators. Absolutely, absolutely. So lots to get into right here with the big time pickup of Heze Kent. Before we get there, one more time, everybody, come see us. Come see us there in Gainesville for Independent Gator Media Day, presented by the Sachs Law Group. July 27th, right there in Gainesville, 2 p.m. at First Magnitude Brewing Company. Tickets start at $25. Gators Breakdown, High Top Sports, Stadium and Gale, along with Vernell Brown III, Grayson Pup Howard, Jacoby Jackson, Jaden Robinson, Hilton Drake Stubbs, Trayon Webb, Jaden Woods. They'll be scheduled to appear. Meet and greet with the players right there. Should be a fun time. Love to see you there. Love to see you there. Not much longer now. Not much longer. About 2 weeks away. So go and get your tickets. Come join us. Come have a good time right there in Gainesville as we're getting ready for the football season to kick off. Independent Gator Media Day presented by the Sachs Law Group. Okay, let's get to it. And one more before Harrison. Thanks for hopping in one more time. He says, boom. And that's right. That is right. It is a boom. And you're going to see it here in just a second because the film is fun to watch for a guy this size. Man, it is a joy to watch. It's fun to watch. So, all right, let's get into it. Gator Nation, we got a commit, and it is Heze Kent, as I mentioned, from Brunswick, Georgia, committing to the Gators. A 4-star on both the services right there. Does everybody like it? Hit that like button. I know you like the news. I know you like this content. Another commit coming in. Hit that like button. Really, really helps us out. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet as well. Heze Kent, 6'6", listed 310, 320. I've seen 280 by Hayes Fawcett in his commitment tweet that he put out there. So the weight's all over the place. And kind of what you're going to get here with a guy this size. And there's a lot of questions. The questions about the weight, questions about what position he'll play. We'll get into it. But first, Heze Kent and the ranking services, as I mentioned, 4-star on both the recruiting services. On the 24/7 Sports Composite, he is the 149th overall player in the country, the 9th ranked athlete and the 20th player in the state of Georgia. The On3 industry rankings gives Kent a 158th overall ranking, but has him as the 14th overall offensive tackle in the country and the 19th best player in the state of Georgia. Florida State, Miami, and Texas were his other finalists, but the Gators get him here in the end. Now, as I said, of course, there's been a lot of talk about Heze Kent, and since it's been trending Florida for a while, very a vested interest in all the things that lead up to this commitment, and a lot of talk about: is he going to play tight end? Is he going to play offensive line? What's Florida's plan at the tight end spot? We'll get into all that. I'm not so sure Kent eventually doesn't end up as an offensive tackle, but I reached out to a source last night, and if you listen to the last episode, you heard me say this, but it's worth bearing repeated. Close to everything there. I can't say too much about the source, but he's being recruited as a tight end, and you've heard everybody else say it as well. So I'm not, at this point, not trying to break any news or anything like that. But if you watched the commitment, you heard Steve Wiltfong say it. If you've listened to Gators Online and those guys and the great work that they're doing, they're sharing also, their sources saying, hey, Florida is recruiting him as a tight end. Kent wants to play tight end. So the other schools were apparently pitching him to play tight end too, because that's what he wants. Whether there was some truth in that, we'll see. But that's the game of recruiting right now, just to try and get in there. But for a while, there were some schools that were recruiting him as an offensive tackle as well. Now you look at Florida's offense and how the tight ends are used in this offense. First of all, Florida uses a lot of 12 personnel, and one of those tight ends definitely needs to have a heavy block emphasis. So with a guy the size of Kent and the ability he has there, yeah, of course, he could be an extra offensive lineman that hopefully, if he wants to play tight end, will continue to play tight end, be a great option. Now, look, he's not going to go run full route trees. He's not going to go 40 yards down the field in the SEC too often. That's not what he's going to be asked to do either. More of a safety valve, more of a safety blanket for a quarterback. But the tight ends are used a lot to block in this offense, so he'll be an asset there while needing to be a pass catcher as well, near that 300-pound mark. I took his visit earlier this summer when Florida was already leading, and I think that official visit kind of just extended it, put the finishing touches on it. I know there was maybe some other interest, but I think Florida was going to be the pick. It was going to hard to be overcome. So let's pop it up. Let's get into a little bit of film for Kent. I mean, we got like 12 minutes worth of highlights here. So there's plenty to get into while we talk about the analysis of him. Let's get that going here if you're watching the YouTube version. But Heze Kent accounted for 41 catches, 983 receiving yards, and 8 receiving touchdowns. He also added 211 rushing yards. Added 211 rushing yards now. And here you go. You watch the highlights. There he is. Not attached to the line of scrimmage. And here he is standing up, and here he goes catch and run. I mean, okay, he's not doing this in the SEC a whole lot. I think he can still be a weapon in the passing game, but he's not going to be having that type of many plays here. But it's ridiculous seeing a guy this size do this, even at the high school level. But you still don't see it often. But yeah. I mean, let's go through it one more time. 41 catches, 983 receiving yards, 8 receiving touchdowns, 211 rushing yards, 8 scores on the ground. He accounted for 1,211 total yards of offense as a junior. Corey Bender from Gators Online, he goes into with his analysis. Big man, big numbers. For a player his size, Kent's junior stats are hard to believe. 41 passes, 983 yards, and 8 touchdowns, adding those 211 rushing yards, 8 more scores, about those 1,200 total yards again. That's a massive number for someone being recruited as a tight end. On tape, Kent moves better than expected, and he's tough to bring down in the open field. He plays with confidence and shows natural feel after the catch. Corey goes on to say he's got blocking ability built for the SEC. Kent's strength and power make him an immediate asset in the run game. He's already flattening defenders and moving bodies like a lineman. His physical play style is a strong fit for Florida's 12 personnel system, which uses 2 tight ends and leans on in-line blocking. Kent brings the kind of toughness that can open up run lanes or help in pass protection without tipping the play. This part of his game should translate well regardless of the position. Corey goes on to say he does have legit pass game traits. Kent isn't just a blocker, he can win through the air too. He shows strong hands, solid body control, and the ability to shield defenders. While he's not a vertical threat, he works well in the short and intermediate routes and create mismatches with linebackers. The Peach State native also shows flashes of vision and physicality after the catch, making him useful in play action in red zone situations. Though Corey does go on to say, kind of the questions we're all asking, the long-term fit is still a question. The biggest question surrounding Kent isn't talent. It's where he will play. At 6'5", 300 pounds, he's already carrying the body of a college offensive lineman. Most high school tight ends are 50 to 70 pounds lighter at this stage, which is why some schools and scouts project him as a future offensive tackle. The tools are there. Kent has the base, length, and drive to become a dominant lineman if he fully embraces that move. He fires off lows, stays square through body contact, and has upper body strength to anchor against edge defenders. If he continues to grow or adds more muscle, that transition may feel natural. However, Kent doesn't see himself that way, at least not yet. He wants to stay at tight end, and Florida is respecting that. The Gators see value in his ability to block like a lineman while still being able to be a threat in the passing game. In a 12 personnel system that leans on power, that role can be valuable. This could go a few different ways. Kent might slim down to stay at tight end full time. He could become an H-back who shifts between the positions, or he could eventually slide inside and develop into a high-level tackle. Either way, Florida is adding an athlete with high-level potential and versatility. Let's go to Hudson Standish of 24/7 Sports. One of the more unique evaluations of the 2026 cycle. A jumbo athlete hovering around 6'6", 310 pounds, who primarily plays tight end at the prep level, but likely projects as an offensive tackle or defensive tackle on Saturdays. Shows significant developmental blocking upside when asked to stay attached. Possesses nimble movement skills and redirection ability that directly translates from his work as a forward on the basketball court. Uncommon movement skills from a player of his size in the open field, and will make acrobatic ladder climbing snags in the red zone. Dominates South Georgia 5A competition in a variety of ways, and has even found success as a ball carrier. Could start his career as a specialty tight end in 12 personnel groupings before transitioning to a long-term positional home. Sheer size and athleticism point to obvious long-term NFL upside, especially if he embraces a role along the offensive or defensive line at the next level. So there you go. I mean, yeah, at his size, we know he's an ideal fit for Billy Napier's running a lot of the 12-man personnel. Ultimately, we got to see where he lines up. I do think he does start at tight end. I think Florida's going to give him that chance to prove that he can be a tight end. I mean, look at that block as a tight end right there in open field. I love that one. But yeah, you can throw in tight end. You can throw in offensive tackle. That's where the athlete comes in. But heck, even throw in that defensive line talk. I mean, recruit him as a tight end. Try him at tight end. If it works out, great. But at some point, there's going to okay. I don't deal in absolutes. So let's say maybe a discussion about pro potential at the other spots. Now, I think if he wants to be a pro player, I don't know if that's tight end. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe he's just that type of unicorn. Maybe that's what he is. And down the road, we'll say, okay, he is a unicorn. He's near 300 pounds. Maybe, and that's a good point too. Maybe he does slim down, but still a 280 tight end, and you don't see that often either. So pro potential is probably at offensive line, defensive line. But maybe he is just that unicorn at the tight end spot. I mean, you see, there is a lot of great catch and run ability for him. It really jumps out. does it translate when the competition ramps up? That's the question. That's the question. But there is a lot to like. I mean, if Florida's on the 7-yard line in the red zone, going in for a score, this guy is absolutely a weapon at the tight end spot. If you want to run the ball, he's an extra offensive lineman. If you want to be able to use him as a tight end, he shows it all over this film. Throw the ball near the goal line, he's likely running over somebody to get in the end zone. If the route goes into the end zone, he's going to shield a defender away and have a good chance of making the catch. Maybe he's a kind of versatile player where, all right, maybe mostly he's an offensive tackle down the road, but could still, in certain situations in the red zone, offer you a lot of creativity in how you use him. So he's definitely the most interesting prospect, not just for Florida, maybe in the country. I mean, you had some big-time schools after him, but when it comes down to it, he's one of the most interesting prospects in the whole 2026 cycle. And now Florida gets to go tinker and go have fun and trying to find ways to use Heze Kent, or Heze Kent. Heze, not Heze. I've been calling him Heze, but I was definitely watching the commitment, and it's Heze, so apologize previously for mispronouncing his name, but want to get it correct now. But with this one, it was a lot of Russ Callaway. I mean, he nailed this recruitment. Russ Callaway's got a lot of connections in South Georgia to get in early on this recruitment and help keep Florida out in front. I mean, the Gators have recruited Kent the hardest, as well as the most consistent. There was thought that it was more of a Florida-Miami battle earlier on in the process. And I know Texas tried to make a big move. Florida State tried to make a big move as well to get into it more late, but it was going to be hard to overcome Florida. And look, I hope it doesn't sound bad towards the player, like, hey, yeah, we just kind of knew Florida was going to be the pick. And now, look, don't get me wrong. I say, don't speak in absolutes in recruiting. Nothing's ever 100%. I would have been surprised if he went somewhere else today. I'm no longer shocked in recruiting. If it was, look, he played the hat game. I don't remember the first hat he picked up, but then I think he picked the Miami hat up second. Like, my jaw wouldn't have dropped. I wouldn't have been shocked. I would have been surprised. But these days, nah. But, I don't. These guys want to create drama sometimes. They don't want it to be a foregone conclusion that everybody knows where they're going beforehand. I think that played into it a little bit with Ford, with his Friday commitment and the Alabama, the quote-unquote Alabama drama that came about the day before. Some guys just want to have fun with it, and I get it. You could hopefully only do this one time when you commit to Florida. There's not a decommitment coming up, so I get it. I get it. But Florida was going to be hard to beat in this one. So with the commitment of Kent, what does that mean for the Gators class? What does that mean for the Gators class? Welp, he is the 18th commit to the class for the Gators. And he rises Florida up to 14th on the 24/7 Sports Composite Rankings. That's big. That is big. Because why? Up to 14th. Florida just passed Florida State in the recruiting rankings. Florida State has 4 more commits than the Gators. 4 more commits, and Florida just passed them in the team rankings. FSU has 22 commits. Florida now just got their 18th. And Florida just passed Florida State. So there you go. Nice to see. Nice to see. They were trying to brag. I guess maybe some of them were trolling because, they had to know this was coming. But I don't think some of them were trying, look at that. 2 wins last year, and we're out recruiting Florida. Did you really think it was going to stay that way? Now, we'll see what the season holds. But at least for the foreseeable future, it was kind of a dumb argument. Florida was eventually going to pass Florida State before the season started. Hopefully it stays that way. But hey, look, that's all part of a rivalry. Relish it. King Malik, I see you're saying he's 280, not 310 for your information. Look, it's out there everywhere. There's different ones. I know I would probably lean 280 as well, since that's kind of coming out from Heze. But at the same time, yeah, I think this could be jumping around everywhere. I don't know where Heze got it. I mean, I'm sure he just didn't make that number up out of nowhere. So I tend to believe he's probably around 280 as well. But I saw a 280. I saw a 300. I saw a 310. I saw a 320. So it's out there everywhere. I just wanted to put it all out there. I do tend to agree with you. He's probably closer to 280 right now. And Harrison saying 6'7", according to Heze. So yeah, it's everywhere right now about the size. So. But good stuff. I mean, he's around that. We'll see. It's all about playing weight. We'll see getting him into strength and conditioning at the college program, and then seeing where he goes from that. L. Wolf says, yeah, if he loses about 40 pounds, could be an end zone problem. Harrison says, work him out at offensive tackle for sure. I mean, you want to be truthful in recruiting. I mean, it gets back. If you're not truthful in recruiting a bit. So if he wants to play tight end, you've been selling him on tight end as well. Now down the road, you can say, well, eventually, okay. I mean, yeah, we'll recruit him as tight end. We eventually see it go into offensive tackle. Maybe you had that conversation beforehand. Or maybe you don't. But you're saying, all right, you want to be tight end? We'll recruit you as tight end. And then whatever happens, happens. Jacob Morales says, yep, this is what we need. Kevin Reed says he'll be a weapon, especially in tackle over formations. Defense will have to figure out who is eligible. Correct. The South Florida Don says, didn't think I'd see you today, with a laughing face. I think we all knew this one. Bull Gator, hey, yep, throws it in there. While committing, he said, Gator boys stay hot. Winning matters, even in a different sport. Hey, I like that part of it. I do think there's a lot of... Because it's funny how it worked out this time, Bull Gator. That's a really good point. Now, the Gator boys stay hot. It was used in the 06-07 basketball team as well, but it didn't catch on like this. Now, I think the growth of social media over time probably certainly helped it jump off board with this basketball championship, but it was a thing. The Gator boys stay hot with Brewer, Horford, and Noah, and Green, and Lee, all that team. But I don't remember recruits using it as much. I don't remember the football team using it as much. I don't remember, like I said, the fan base didn't use it all that much. I do think it's probably the rise of social media since then that has helped the Gator boys stay hot, go crazy. And I'm glad it should stay a mainly basketball thing. But yeah, that picking up and becoming a Florida Gators sports motto, I like it. I mean, Jack Caglione hits a home run the other day, and I see a post, Gator boys stay hot. And it's based off of Jack hitting a home run. I mean, so yeah, to me, it's now become a sports mantra for the University of Florida, and I love it. I love it. TJ Allison, they always used to say Florida's just a sleeping giant. That was, I believe, a Bear Bryant quote back in the day, waiting to be woken. It's time again, fellas. Man, Tej, I hope you're right, man. Certainly hope you're right. King Malik, let's go on back to the rivalry part of it. Florida State trolls make it easy. I like it. Jacob Morales, fullback is dead. Wish they'd bring it back. That's kind of what your H-back can be. So that's about as close as you're going to get today in today's football. MC says, Gator Dave, sweet Gator shirt. We'll just score that. This was one of the releases last year. There, and I tell you what, I didn't get to wear it for the longest time because I think it's on this shoulder. For whatever reason, Jordan started putting their tags right here. And They were huge. I mean, the tags were like that long. And I'd rip it out. And then I realized when I rip it out, I caused a hole. I did this with two shirts. Caused a hole right here when I pulled the tag out. So kind of just got lazy and didn't sew them up, or the wife didn't sew them up until like a couple weeks ago. So it was basically a brand new shirt that I wore like one time, ripped the tag of it out because it was getting on my nerves, and then I ripped a hole in it. So it is what it is. So if you get a Jordan shirt, or probably any shirt for that matter, just cut the tag out. Don't pull it because you get a hole in your shirt. So, but the, what's the other one? Oh yeah, the blue shirt I wore the other day with the orange F on it. That was the same thing happened to that one. So I learned a lesson there. Don't, no longer rip tags out of the shirts. I mean, I'm just going everywhere, you know. But hey, I'm not gonna have live episodes next week, so it is what it's gonna be. I do have a pre-recorded episode ready for you guys. I'll be sipping on cocktails in Jamaica for a few days, so getting out in front of all this recruiting news, of course. But I do have an episode. My good buddy Andrew Sponge Franklin. I work with him at News for Jacks, WJXC here in Jacksonville. We talk Gators all the time. I was like, man, it's long overdue. I'm going to bring you on the podcast. So we're going to talk make or break players. We are going to talk players that deserve more respect on the team. It was a really, really fun episode. Really good conversation episode. So be on the lookout for it next week. It'll be early next week. So I'm going to be missing SEC Media Days, unfortunately. I say quote, unfortunately. Of course, I'd love to cover it. But at the same time, it's vacation. It's vacation. So I'll be enjoying that even more. All right. So I mentioned it earlier. Tease was teasing it. But let's take a look at the class. Let's take a look at the 2026 class and the storylines following the positions. Quarterback, of course, we'll start there. And positions locked up. I mean, it's been over a year now since, four-star quarterback Will Griffin has committed to the class. No worry there of his verbal pledge. So that one's good. You're sitting pretty at the most important position. Is it a clean transition? And you got Tramel Jones last year. Where does he fit into all this? But DJ Lagway, Tramel Jones, Will Griffin right now. So there you go. We've seen the storylines and targets of the 2027 class. Florida's in good shape with a quarterback spot. Running back, hey, you're good there too. And I saw you talking about it on Gators Breakdown Plus members right there. Shout out to those guys. And I know everybody, I shared it. But Carson Baker, the running back commit that Florida has right now, man, he's probably one of the favorite recruits as far as social media goes. He posted a picture of a revolver with putting smiley face emojis in the revolver. That was pretty creative. That was pretty good. So Carson Baker, very active on social media, has been talking about all the Bama stuff was going on with KJ Ford. Carson Baker's out there tweeting Gator emojis and all that stuff, and McCoy was too, Draylen McCoy. But those two guys pretty active on social media. But Baker's been a fun follow there. So, but that's where Florida's at running back right now. And with this run-heavy offense at times, the rotation Florida gets at running back, and you got Jabbar Jaloot leading the way, I think you got to like what Carson Baker brings to the table. Ain't nothing much to worry about there. Wide receiver. Strong start to the class already. You got DJ Lagway to sell. Now, these guys that are coming in this year, they probably only get to play with Lagway 1 year. So, hey, but you still use it to your advantage. You got Marquez Daniel coming in, the big-bodied wide receiver from the state of Alabama. 4-star there. And then Justin Williams there in Gainesville. The quote-unquote gadget type, the Trey Wilson, Vernell Brown III type of receiver. Florida's still looking at other receivers, of course. Storyline there, Davion Gross from the state of Texas was looking really good at one time. Now it's probably Oklahoma-Baylor battle. Then Samorian Wingo, we got an update from him on Saturday. It's a 2-team race between Florida and South Carolina. And he had the quote, and I don't remember it, so it's not verbatim, but basically, going to let his agent do a lot of the work here. So that lets you know a good bit about this recruitment. Now Florida had some other targets out there. Just mentioned Gross. I don't think that was going to happen. So does it open the door more for some Samorian Wingo? They're from St. Augustine, of course. Is it, from Florida maybe pushing more for other guys? But I don't think Wingo hasn't tried to commit. I think he's going to commit on the 15th in just the coming days, but he's not going to let it public. Now, in today's world, can you really keep a commit secret? That'd be hard. He's supposed to commit on the 15th, but not let it be known to the first week of school. So, like, first couple of weeks of August. So we'll see. We'll see where that one goes. So Samorian Wingo could be the next commit for the Gators. We'll see when we find out. Tight end. Let's go there because that's what this shirt. I was just reading the comments. That's what this episode has been about. Tight end. Just got Heze Kent. Got Kakua Amua as well from IMG, but now not from IMG because he just moved back. He's moving back to Hawaii, playing high school football there for his senior year. What does that ultimately mean? Now they're letting it be known still wants to be a Florida Gator. How does that work out, though? When you go all the way back to Hawaii for a senior season, does it work out to where he's still part of this class? I lean yes, but that's a long way away. Now, he's already done it one time, being from Hawaii, coming to Bradenton and playing in IMG. He's pretty close with his family, but his family loves Florida. Got Heze Kent. That's 2. But Florida's still in contact with 4-star Tennessee commit Carson Snead. Been committed to Tennessee for a while. Gators are a big, big threat to flip him. But now you start talking to him, and there's just talk of Florida taking 3 tight ends. Now, we just spent this whole episode talking about Kent and is he or is he not a tight end? Right now he is. So Florida would be bringing him 3 tight ends if you flip Snead and hold on to Amua. But as much as we know, Florida likes to use tight ends, and then the unicorn that Kent can be, 3 tight ends can make sense. So we'll see where it ends up. But Florida could end up having 3 tight ends in the class. Offensive line, hey, it's locked in. Told you early on when we started talking this 2026 class that Florida's looking for 5 offensive linemen. Well, here we are mid-June, and it's been this way for a couple of weeks now. Florida's got all 5 of the offensive linemen they want. Let's bring it back around to Kent again. Maybe a 6th offensive lineman when you go down the road and talk about this class. But you got some guys, you had some guys coming back. We talked about this good offensive line for Florida in the 2025 season. Where you're going to lose a lot of those guys after this year. So with Chancellor Campbell, Desmond Green, Denare Carr, Tyler Chukium, and Javari Lucas, Florida's got their 5 offensive linemen. You've hit the interior. You've hit offensive tackle. Jonathan DeCosta, Rob Sale getting the job done in the summertime. So they got the 5. That position is addressed. Okay. Let's go to the other side of the ball. And the position that has garnered the most talk so far, especially during the summer at least, defensive line, and all the storylines there. Perhaps the biggest need so far because of all the storylines, Florida got 4-star defensive lineman Kendall Grovel last week. Big time get for all the storylines that have happened before. At the position, he was Florida's top target at defensive line. Maybe not the highest rank from the recruiting services, but on Florida's board, Kendall Grover was at the top. And you got that win over Texas. Then Jarayla McCoy, he could also play some defensive line, but and that would be more in the defensive end spot. but he's viewed as that F edge spot. We talked about that last night with the Ford episode. So it's all about targets now, to add to Guerville. There's a few targets out there. Florida's going to try and still flip guys that they've been recruiting the whole time. Then, of course, the board can be expanded. But the lines, the defensive line board shrunk pretty fast. Yeah, Preston Carey choosing Georgia. James Johnson chose Georgia as well. Now, Florida's still talking to James Johnson a good bit. And so is Miami and another school. But I've always thought it was a Georgia-Miami battle anyway. And Florida was kind of lagging behind. But Florida's still going after James Johnson. And Rodney Cleveland committed to Texas. Tyson Bacon committed to Miami. So those are a lot of your targets that have already committed elsewhere. Florida's still going to try and flip those guys. Then you got Valdon Son. He's still undecided. Not a sure thing for Florida. Georgia's being brought up a lot there as well. But that's the top uncommitted guy that Florida's going after. So with Georgia already getting Carey and Johnson, Florida needs to find a way to get it done with Son. Needs to find a way to get it done. Or flip one of those other guys down the road. Let's go to the edge spot. We talked about it a good bit last night in the previous episode. Florida's got a commitment from Jarayla McCoy, of course, at the edge spot, playing the F position there. And then, of course, you got KJ Ford, who, just go listen to the recent episode of Gators Breakdown. But two good gets at the edge spot there for the Gators. Kevin Ford, a pass rush specialist. Gators still also recruiting four-star Jake Krull, but he didn't put Florida in his final three. Oklahoma trending there. We'll see when he makes his decision. Trenton Henderson. He recently, remember, picked LSU. So that's why getting Ford was such a huge get for the Gators. Had some targets you not in their final, or they picked somewhere else. Ford was a must get. Florida went and got him. Linebacker. Talked about this one recently as well. Got Malik Morris, the commitment from him over Miami and Texas A&M recently. And then this Saturday, as we're sitting here today, we thought we might be talking about two commits on today, but DQ Fortpa decided that, you know what? Michigan's coming at me hard. Florida State's coming at me hard. I need more time. If he would have continued today, I think Florida would have been the pick. Florida still may be the pick. But hey, credit to him for also slowing it down. Now, don't get me wrong, it may end up not being good news for Florida. But credit to him for slowing it down and saying, I want to make the right choice. I don't want to be wishy-washy. I don't want to be flip-floppy. I want to be right about this decision. That's not saying he won't flip somewhere down the road. But, credit for, I already got this set up. I don't know if I want to go to Florida. I need to think about it. But I had this date set. I'll commit to Florida, but, okay, I'm not 100% there. No. Good for him to want to wait and make sure he makes the right decision. It's certainly been different than Isaiah Williams, who's, on his sixth different school now with Ole Miss. Florida's still recruiting him as well. And maybe he's in the class down the road, as we're sitting here talking about, linebacker. But Malik Morris in the class now. Thought maybe Fortpa today, but we'll have to wait and see. And then wait and see down the road. I'm not going to shut the door on Isaiah Williams once again. So there's your storyline at linebacker. Let's go to safety. Florida's got a commitment, of course, from four-star Caden Hall. Got that in June. Still recruiting other names, but not much out there right now as far as that one goes. We'll see what the season holds. Maybe save another spot for the portal. I mean, you got a pretty good haul last time with Stubbs and Hayward. Also, Florida's, we talked about it now, 18 commits there with Kent. How many more? Talked about Wingo, talked about Fortpa. If you'd handicap it, okay, maybe those guys leaning towards Florida right now. So that would get you to 20. if the class kind of sticks where it is right now, I think that's about your number. You're going to leave some spots for the transfer portal. So whether that be a spot for safety, whether that be a spot, and I still think whether you get another high school recruit on the interior defensive line, probably still another portal spot there. So sign, look, I would say maybe around 2021, the way it stands right now. And if you go have this big season, kind of like last year with the big November, you were able to sign a bigger class than originally planned. And we know this staff, their plan has been clear. They'd rather build through high school recruiting. Still going to need some room for transfers. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I think if it plays out that way and you get around 20, what it does set Florida up for is you don't need to go reach to fill, to fill numbers in this class. You're only going to bring in guys if they're very, very high on your board, and most of those guys that are left are the guys that are up there in the recruiting rankings as well. So there's not going to be any reaching there. It's not, and not, they don't really do this much anyway. There's those measurables that need to be verified size, verified speed, all those measurables that they like to go by. So it's not a lot of reaching to begin with, but a lot of those targets that have maybe went elsewhere, that's what you're saving for this class. If you're going to get in that 22, 23, 24, 25 number, it's going to be a lot of these high-profile guys that we lost out on the first time. And maybe you now flip down the road. Talking about safety, though, you got the Braylon Womack. There's an interest in Florida, but Ohio State's the school. Womack there from Mississippi. Oregon commit Devin Jackson. He was a Gator commit at one time. Maybe comes back around. So we'll see. That's what I'm saying. Not really realistic guys at the safety spot right now. So maybe that's where the portal comes in. And then let's go to corner. Boy, I like what Florida's got at corner. They've done some really good work here. C.J. Brona, the top player in the class, flipped him from Nebraska last month. He's a priority target for Darren Wilson. Track star playing football, a football player that's a track star. That's what you want. That is what you want. And then you got C.J. Hester last week. Florida very, very big on him. Very big. Florida getting their targets at the cornerback spot, so you're good there. So not many more spots left. Not many more spots left. But there you go. As one reason I wanted to take a look at the class, we just had this run of June commits. And then July, there were a lot of set dates. Guys committing in early July. And we knew about this Saturday, July 12th being a day. Right now, there's not set dates out there for any of the targets. So I thought it would be a good time, after all these scheduled decisions, to take a look at what Florida's working with in this class of 2026. But there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Getting you caught up. Who Florida has in the class. Some other targets that could end up when it's all said and done. But yeah, there you go. Coming back in here, rolling X Gronk 2 for Heze Kent. I hope so. Man, it's thundering and storming outside. I don't know if you guys hear it or not, but I'm about to sign off anyway. But maybe forcing me to. Courtney says, go Gators. And Christopher Bullard says, hey, Dave, seen you on Channel 4 a few days ago talking about Florida season. Good take. Yeah, that was a good conversation. Of course, I work at Channel 4, not in the sports department. They bring me in from time to time to talk Gators, of course. But yeah, it was a fun topic, talking about this big season coming up for Florida and DJ Lagway, the storylines there, but also just a lot of the Jacksonville area players that are going to be having this huge impact for what we hope is a big season for Florida. So it was a fun topic to talk about. Fun topic. All right, guys. Some of you join me on Friday night. Some of you right here on Saturday. Hey, I don't know how many more Saturday episodes we're going to do before football season, but Saturday episodes from here on out might just be when we're talking about actual football games. I mean, you get a rare Saturday episode in the offseason right here. They're a lot more common during the season if the game ends in time or I do something from the swamp. But, yeah, I mean, a Saturday episode right here, but Saturday episodes moving forward might just be when the season comes back around. Looking forward to that, of course. All right, everybody, that will do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining me on this episode of Gators Breakdown.